Welcome to another Co-op Conversations podcast episode. Each episode features different guests living in housing cooperatives in various parts of the world. Through these conversations, you'll learn more about life in a housing cooperative for children, teenagers, parents, and seniors. In one episode, we take a slightly different approach and we talk to Brenda Torpy from Burlington, Vermont, who is a longtime champion of the community land trust model, a land ownership model that some housing co-ops also use. I'm Julie Lapalme, Secretary General of Cooperative Housing International, or CHI. I deliver CHI's work program, which includes communications, education, and knowledge sharing, governance, and collaborations. Cooperative Housing International is one of the sectoral organizations of the International Cooperative Alliance, which is the global apex body representing all cooperatives. CHI raises awareness about cooperative housing by promoting its successes on a global level. We also facilitate networking opportunities via knowledge sharing events. If you go to our first podcast episode, we explain housing cooperatives. If you want to learn more about the different types of housing cooperatives or find out more about the work we do, please head over to our website at housinginternational.coop. So cooperative housing has been around since the late 19th century. In spite of how long they've been around, few people seem to know about co-op housing or understand the benefits of this housing arrangement or how it works. Housing co-ops are communities managed by its members and dedicated to providing affordable, safe, and welcoming neighborhoods for members and their children. Today, we talked to Emma Liebherr, a parent who just recently moved into a housing co-op in Carlow, Ireland. It's a housing co-op that was developed by Cooperative Housing Ireland. And so Emma's going to tell us more about the co-op. So Emma, thank you for joining us today. Can you describe your housing co-op? Like, is it a house or apartment? Where is it located? Things like that.
Well, I'm living in Carlow, which is the southeast of Ireland. We're about 50 minutes drive from Dublin city centre. I'm after receiving a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, which is in a little estate. It's a cooperative estate, but it's built in a private housing estate. When I got the keys back in January, there was 20 houses, which were 2 to 3 bedrooms, and 2 apartments, which were 2-bedroom apartments that were giving out on the day. We have a lovely big back garden. It's a nice family size. We are local to everywhere. My daughter is in primary school, which is about 10-minute walk from here, with a local church, shopping malls, takeaways. We're actually slap bang in the middle of everything inside in Carlow town.
And how did you learn about housing cooperatives?
Well, we were originally with the rental accommodation scheme, which is called the RAS scheme in Carlow. We paid the rent to the Carlow County Council, and council paid the rent to the private landlord. So since 2016, we were the victims of a bit of antisocial behaviour with our next door neighbour in the previous place that we lived. So we got onto Carlow County Council to put us on a waiting list to get moved. So it's from Carlow County Council that we had learned of the cooperative housing.
I see. So what are the differences between where you were living before and where you're living now?
Well, where we're living now, we have the feeling of security and safety. In the previous place that we lived, when we were on the rental accommodation scheme, the private landlord could have sold up at any time. So it was a case of, whereas here we have our forever home, where we have safety and we have security that this can be our forever home.
Yeah, that's something that we promote quite a bit, is the security of tenure aspect of cooperative housing. And like the only reason you would be asked to leave, or be evicted would be if,
social behavior,
antisocial behavior, or, like you're breaking the rules, that the housing co-op has established.
And the best part of the cooperative is that we had explained to the cooperative housing that we were the victims, of antisocial behavior, and that we had put up with it for 4 to 5 years. And they put it there on day one. It is not tolerated. It's not accepted. That all you have to do is pay your rent, be good, or leave, which is perfect for us, because it is a safety net, and is security.
Right. And so the private landlord where you were renting before was tolerant of this antisocial behavior?
Well, you see, the problem was he was he was a great landlord. He was a good guy. He'd done everything that he could do for us. It was just that the two guys that lived next door, one of them was a homeowner. The two of them were brothers. So, like the Gardaí, which is the police, they were involved. The council was involved and everything. But you cannot get somebody to evict their own sibling or family member from a house. So they were the homeowners, whereas we were only renters.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was the situation. Even though we always paid our rent, our landlord was very happy with us. We painted and we decorated the house and everything. He never had a problem with us. It was just for the case that no one can get a family member to get their family member out of the house. So that's where we were at a loss. It was like either we have to go or stay here and put up with it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And like having a child, like my daughter is 6 years old, and she had to listen to that too, where she was scared and she was upset, and and it was getting to the stage where she wanted to sleep in the bed with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that that you got out of there.
Yeah, me too. It's like a weight lifted off all our shoulders.
Yeah. And you lived there for 4 years, you said?
No, I was actually living there since 2012. 2012,
Okay, so
April 2012, and the problem started happening in 2016. So
okay.
we were actually there nearly 9 years, which was kind of sad in a way because it was our home. My daughter was born there. It was everything that she only knew,
Yeah. So how's your daughter enjoying living in the housing co-op then?
She absolutely loves it because a lot of people that got the houses here, their kids go to the same school as my daughter. So they're either a year or two above her. So it's great because she sees the kids, all in the same uniforms. And there's actually one child across the road that is actually in her class.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it couldn't have worked out any better for us.
So far, can you talk about like some of the other benefits to children and families in general of living in a housing cooperative?
Yeah, well, everyone that's living here, like we've met a few of the neighbours. Like I actually, the people living next door, I actually used to work with him a few years back. Everyone seems really nice and friendly. Everyone kind of wants to get to know each other, but due to COVID and things like that, we're kind of restricted at the minute. But everyone seems really happy, secure. It's a safe area. There's a green right outside my door where if my daughter went over to the green, you can see her. There's no danger or anything like that.
Sounds pretty ideal with a school nearby and a park across the way. That's pretty ideal for a child.
Everything is so close.
Right. And then so for a parent, raising a family, it gives you peace of mind as well.
Yeah, and it's just, having that security and that safety net, of everything just being in a perfect situation, and you have your troubles, you don't have them anymore.
Yeah, it's it's really important to raise children in a secure and stable environment. So it's nice that you had that opportunity.
Like I've spoken to a few of the families that actually moved in here, and everyone kind of had, kind of the same background of kind of, like antisocial behavior and everything. Everyone kind of came here, like it's kind of like a break, like this is actually after making everybody that they were in a bad situation before, and you're after getting this house in this lovely area, and everyone is just, they're tired from the previous place that they lived in, and it's just now everyone kind of picking themselves back up,
Yeah, it's like a new beginning. It's a fresh start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. And when you've experienced a bad living situation and then you're living in a good one, then what it takes to make it work. Yeah. So because your co-op is so new, there isn't a board of directors or committees set up yet. Is that something?
There's not a committee set up yet, but there is talks of one happening. So I presume it's got to do with the COVID situation that. I'd say in the coming weeks there will be one set up.
And is that something that interests you?
Well, I'd have no problem doing it. It's just that like I'm out of work over the pandemic, so I'm hoping to go back to work in May and June. My hours are flexible-ish, one week I could be working days, one week I could be working nights. So if that was okay for people to, for the cooperative to understand that the way I kind of work, then that I can fit in the time, then I have no problem doing it.
Right. So your co-op was developed by Cooperative Housing Ireland. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, well, the CEO, Kieran Brennan, is Kieran Brennan. Maria Butler is the housing specialist for cooperative housing in South Leinster. Between Carlow and Kilkenny, there is 178 houses with additional houses being built at the moment. Cooperative Housing Ireland is an approved housing body and works closely with various stakeholders in the housing sector, including local authorities, government, tenants and developers to provide high quality homes across the country. Since its foundation in 1973, the organisation has provided 6,000 homes through home ownership, shared ownership and social rented cooperatives. With its membership of democratically controlled local cooperatives, Co-op Housing Ireland, as well as providing a network of childcare services in their area and communities.
So what else can you tell us about your housing co-op? Like you can decorate whatever, however you like.
Yeah, when we got the keys, it was basically an empty shell. There was no flooring or there was no built-in wardrobe, nothing like that. You got we had the bath, shower, we had all the sinks, toilets, the tiles on the floors and the bathrooms were done, but there was no kitchen tiles or anything like that. So it was basically an empty shell. So when you were given the keys and you signed the contract, that was it. You could decorate it whatever way you wanted it within reason. If you wanted to build on an extension or anything, that wouldn't be a problem. But as long as you apply for, application that you're permission to do it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you were allowed to put down whatever tiles you wanted. You were allowed to paint it whatever way you wanted it, but you have to maintain it. Every 3 to 5 years, they want you to redecorate it, keep on top of the painting. Make sure in and outside is nice. The gardens are well looked after. It's common sense, really. It's the way people should live.
Yeah, but isn't that a bit of an expensive proposition though? You have to buy your own flooring. Do you have to buy your own appliances as well?
Yeah, but you see, some people here, in the cooperative, they'd be on the social welfare. Some people like myself, I was on the COVID payment over the pandemic. So you were able to apply to the local social welfare for a grant. So thankfully, most of the people here, as far as I know, were able to get a grant from the social welfare in order to help with flooring and, buying wardrobes and beds and things like that.
Okay. And then so like when, if you decide to leave, a few years down the road, you just leave all of that behind? Do you get any, would you get any?
No, obviously you're going to lose the cost of, your flooring and your tiles and things like that. But all the other things like, your wardrobe, your beds, everything, you get to bring all those.
Right, yeah. Your furniture, yeah.
Yeah, anything that you own, you can bring with you, but obviously you're going to leave the floor and the tiles on the floor,
Yeah, for sure. So what did you feel like when you got the keys to your new co-op home?
Just a weight lifted off our shoulders when we got the keys for the home. It was just like, we didn't care that it was an empty shell. We were like, we just want to move in, it was just a relief and excitement, and we just kept busy by, getting paint and getting flooring. And a good friend of mine was able to do tiles and flooring. So we were kind of one of the first families to move in out of the 22 premises that were handed out. So we were one of the first families to move in because a friend of mine started on a Monday evening the flooring, and he was doing 4 to 5 hours each day, and he finished up on a Saturday morning. So we basically, once he had upstairs floored, we had all of our belongings for upstairs moved in, and once we finished downstairs, we moved in downstairs. So within 6 or 7 days of getting our keys, we were in.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Well, we came from a bad situation, so it was just like we rushed,
Yeah.
We were.
You just want to get out of there.
Day and night, moving things day and night, and my partner's dad then as well. Like he was able to get a van, so we were just moving the child's, trampoline and things as well, so it was just like we wanted to have a happy life, so it was moving quicker to have it.
Mm-hmm. And how has the pandemic affected like life in the housing co-op? Like, are you like talking to your neighbors?
Oh yeah, well we're talking to the neighbours and everything, but obviously, you're keeping your distance. You're keeping a few feet away. It's kind of harder for the kids. Both the kids, like when they go outside to play, like they're on their bikes, so they're just kind of cycling past each other. They're not like hands on. They're not, they're keeping their distance and they're just cycling around on their bikes or their scooters.
Mhm.
So, but on the days that it's nice and fine, everybody's out. We're talking and everything, but obviously we're keeping our distance.
Mhm. Today is the first year anniversary of the announcement of the pandemic.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I know. I never imagined a year ago that we would still be in this situation a year later.
Well, sure, everybody thought it was only going to be this thing that was going to be lasting 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks. Wow. Yeah, we were pretty optimistic, weren't we?
Yeah.
And that's affected your work. You're a
Yeah,
chef, so
I'm a chef in a well-known hotel here in Carlow, and yeah, we obviously you can't eat in or outside at the minute, but you can get food to take away. So there was just too many chefs to do, because it would be a lot quieter. So people with families, or more so the females, had the choice to go and stay with their kids, because the schools were closed and everything.
Mhm.
So someone from each household had to stay at home. So it was a case of more so the women got to do what they wanted, and we all got to stay home.
Mhm.
But nobody thought, like, 'cause like I was off for the first pandemic, then the second one I got to work, and then this is our third pandemic here, level 5 in Ireland.
Mhm.
So I finished up at 2 p.m. on Christmas Eve, and it looks like that I won't be back until May, June at earliest.
That's a long break.
Yeah.
And are there people getting vaccines yet?
They're doing the over 85s, 85 and over at the moment. There seems to be a shortage and problems. They were hoping to have nearly the whole country done by midsummer, but it looks like they'll be lucky now to have all the over 85s done by the end of March. It's on the headlines now where they're having trouble getting some of the vaccines. So I think there's this deal with the Johnson and Johnson's one, so it might hurry things up. But I think most of the population will have to be vaccinated before the country can, properly start opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's we just have to be patient and just wait our turn.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time before I get my vaccine anyway.
Right. Yeah. So you'll be going back to work in June.
Yeah.
Well, if this summer is anything like last summer, it eased up a little bit. So it should, even without, everyone being vaccinated, it should be eased up a little bit by then.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. So you said there's about 20 houses in.
20 houses were given out in January, and there was 2 apartments. And right now they're in the middle of building another 18 houses, which are 2, 3, and 4 bedroomed houses. So where I'm located in the estate is at the very, very back, but at the entrance of the estate, on one side they're building 10 houses, and on the other side they're building 18 houses.
Okay, so your co-op is growing already.
Yeah, it surely is. And like on the other side of Carlow town then as well, they have more houses that are almost finished as well. I don't really know too much about that area in Carlow where the houses are. It's kind of a border. So half of them will be County Laois and half of them will be County Carlow, but they are cooperative housing as well.
Oh, I see. Okay. And were there like other maybe more like older, more established housing co-ops in Carlow before, or are these the first
There,
ones?
no, there is more cooperative ones as well. There's a place called Fruit Hill Manor in Grey Cullen in Carlow. They're cooperative housing as well. Not all of them. I think half of them are private maybe, and half of them are cooperative. But this cooperative housing is not new to Carlow. They have other premises.
And are people's rents being subsidized by the government? How does that work?
No, how the rent is based is basically, I presume it's different for everybody. It's kind of a certain amount of money is not taken into consideration. I think it's something like maybe for 60 or 70 euros is not taken into consideration. Thereafter, it's like, I think is it 18 to 20% of
Mhm.
your wage then is, that's how they calculate it, kind of 20% of your earnings after. So they're actually very fair because with me being on the pandemic means that I'm on less money than what I normally would be if I was working. So they have based my rent on the COVID pandemic.
Mhm.
So when I go back to work, then I will tell them I'm back to work, and then they can readjust it, to pay that little bit more. But while I'm on the pandemic, I'm paying that little bit less, you know?
Yeah. So your rent is based on your income. So
Yeah.
if your income goes up, then your rent goes up, and if your income goes down, your rent goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what if people aren't working at all? Like they're not earning anything.
Well, I suppose like I was never in that situation, but I presume like if people are not working and are on the social welfare, then it will be based on their social welfare money then as well, you know?
Hmm. And then so who's responsible for the maintenance of the co-op and cutting the grass and just like cleaning and all that?
Yeah, well, we have to look after the cleaning ourselves. Like, we have to make sure our bins and the front of our area has to be clean. Our back gardens and everything have to be clean. Like
Mhm.
if there's rubbish outside, if there's a piece of litter or anything on the road or anything, like it's just common sense. Don't leave it there. Just pick it up. You know.
Mhm.
Um, they do have some now. It's been so rainy since we've actually moved in. It hasn't. I think there's been like about 6 days where it hasn't rained since we've moved here, and we haven't seen anyone cut the grass yet. But I do know because like it's a brand new estate, so we don't really have big trees or anything at the moment. It's all kind of young trees, so
Mhm.
it's just a case of waiting for the grass to grow, waiting for the trees to grow. But like we do know that there is somebody that will be doing the grass and the maintenance, outside that
Mhm.
will be looked after. But we just haven't met the person or seen the person yet because it's not hot, it's winter, nothing is really growing at the moment.
Right. And what was on the land before? Do you know? Like, was it just an empty plot of land?
Just empty plot of land.
All right. Was it farmland?
Possibly, no, because like just down the road a little bit, like there would be kind of like farmland. So I'd say it was probably farmland at one stage.
Hmm. And is there public transportation nearby, like buses and or
Honest with
train?
you, being honest with you, it's 10 minutes walk to get into the town centre. There is
Oh, I see.
trains and buses, but not from this estate into town because we're so close to town.
Mhm. Right.
But like if you want to go to Dublin or Kilkenny or Waterford, there is buses, there is trains, there's all those things.
Hmm. And how close are you to Dublin?
I'm about 45 to 50 minutes drive from Dublin city centre, depending on traffic, 45 minutes left.
Hmm. Are you closer to Kilkenny?
Oh, Kilkenny is about 15, 20 minutes down the motorway.
Okay. Is that where the Blarney Stone is?
No, that is down in Kerry.
On Kerry. Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been over to Ireland.
I'm originally from Limerick, so I know that side of town.
Oh, right. Okay. So do you still have family in Limerick?
Yeah, my brother and everybody is still in Limerick, yeah.
All right. So is there anything else that you want to tell us about the housing cooperative? Any parting words of wisdom? Like, would you recommend it to people to consider living in a housing co-op?
I would definitely recommend people to live in a housing co-op. I have friends that have lived and are still living in cooperative housing in Carlow. They have been very happy, no problems down through the years. If there's any issues, they just speak to the manager of the cooperative, if there's ever a problem. Um, I would definitely recommend it. The cooperative people have said if there's any issues, call them. If there's any problems, like with plumbing or water problems, get onto them. There's never any issue. We had one issue with the heating upstairs one day, and we rang and somebody was out on the same day. You know,
Hmm.
so they're fair, quick and prompt if there's any problems with the house. But they've also have put it out there that if there's any issues in the housing estate itself, don't let it go, just get onto them and they will solve the problem. So you have that safety and the security, and I can't acknowledge it any more than that, that there is somebody there at the end of the phone. And it's a lovely area, and the cooperative has been brilliant so far. I'm only in the cooperative housing still going on 3 months, but it has been brilliant and there has been no issues.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, thank you very much, Emma, for sharing your story with us today. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk about, what it's like to live in a housing cooperative in Ireland. And best of luck with, getting through the rest of the pandemic, and hope you get to go back to work, before June, if things improve.
When I go back, it's going to be like I never left.
Yeah, like riding a bike. Hopefully, yeah. And good luck with with your daughter in school, and and growing up in a housing co-op. She's very lucky. I wish more children would have that opportunity. So I hope that she enjoys it too. Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Co-op Conversations. We hope that it provided a better understanding of what life is like in a housing co-op. If you're interested in finding out more, you can visit us at housinginternational.coop. We feature many stories and resources on our website with useful tools, studies, and articles on topics ranging from governance to finance to sustainability and so on. You can also find us on social media on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, where we like to share stories and good practices of co-op housing around the world. If you want to find out about housing cooperatives in your region, we suggest that you do an online search for co-op housing along with the name of your city, and hopefully something will come up. Thanks again for listening. I would also like to thank our sound technician, Todd LeBlanc, who also lives in a housing co-op in Vancouver, Canada. Thanks for listening.